Hey everybody, Hunter, Fisher, Trapper, Trader, Guide, Scout, and Interpreter, and Country Cook Steve Hall here in Nashville, Tennessee, along with pretty Miss Sheila. Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
I'm really excited today because I got some venison. A buddy of mine last year went up moose hunting up in Canada, and he sent me a small moose roast. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, moose is not venison, deer is venison. Well, let me not correct anybody because I don't do that on this show, but let me say I Googled this. Where does venison meat come from? In current usage, the term venison is used to describe the meat of a deer or antelope. Venison comes from animals such as native whitetail deer, reindeer, moose, elk, and several non-native species of animals such as red deer, axis deer, fallow deer, and sika deer. They're all in the venison family. So with that said, we got some venison and we have some moose because it's in the venison family. And I got to tell you, I got this all cubed up. This stuff is so lean, even though I did cut off a little bit of tallow meat here, it just cuts like butter. It absolutely cuts like butter. I can't believe how tender this moose meat is. But we're going to make moose stew today. And I just saved a few chunks left so I could just show you how easy that was to cut up, but now I'm all done. And let's get started with this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this moose meat and I'm going to put it over here in some seasoned flour. I got a cup of flour and a half a cup of cornstarch. I always got to turn around and read that so I know what it is. And some salt and pepper so it's seasoned too. But I'm going to put the meat in here and then we're going to throw it in this little thing right here, this little pot. It's already hot inside, and it's got some northern Minnesota cabin flavor coming out of it because it's got some bacon grease going in the bottom. Come on over, let's get started. You got her, Sheila?
I got it.
All right, let's get going before this bacon grease gets away on us. We're dredging our moose meat in here. I don't know if you can see the bottom of that. In this flour and cornstarch, and this cornstarch really makes it crispy on the outside. This is all going to end up in the oven anyway, so we just want to get a nice color on a lot of this stuff. I want to thank my buddy up north. His name's Donnie Payne. I met him clear up by Hibbing years ago, and he took me hunting back then for whitetail, and I owe him my soul for this moose meat. Trying to get it all in there so we can kind of get it going collectively. He said they were drifting down the river in a canoe, and I think you can hunt from canoes up there, I don't know, but he said they shot a big cow and the bull apparently didn't like that, and he came right over to the canoe and almost plunked his foot in and sunk their little canoe. He said they didn't sleep too good that night, but it was a lot of fun. So what we're going to do with this is we want to get a nice little brown color on here, and then we'll be right back. Oh man, that smells so terrific. Not only did he send me this meat via a friend that came to Nashville, but this is also his recipe for moose stew. So I'm doing it the way he's telling me to do it here. Now I put in a big dollop of bacon grease and it's just about all gone, so it is soaking up into this meat. So let's get some onions in here. He said about a half to 3/4 of a cup depending upon how many onions you like. And I like quite a few. Well, let's just dump the rest of them in there because I had about 3/4 of a cup in that little tub right there. Now we want to get some herbs happening. Now I call this little mixture the Simon and Garfunkel herbs. This is parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. I know, don't say anything about my singing, I'm a comedian, so. And you don't need a lot. So I've just got, a few sprigs of each one chopped up in there. And then I'm going to put in, let me go ahead and stir that. Definitely don't want to burn that meat. And I got it on this little, I say weak little burner down here, which is probably a good thing. So that way it doesn't burn this pot or the meat that's in it. I'm going to put in a little bit of tomato paste. 1 can of tomato paste. How many ounces is this thing here? I think it's 6 ounce. A little teeny 6 ounce can of tomato paste. We're going to get that in there. Well, I could tell you 100 different hunting stories from up north of you. Half of them you wouldn't even believe, but that's one special place for people to get together. In fact, you can take this recipe to your hunting camp this fall, or it might be fall right now if you're watching this video in the fall. And we're going to let that keep getting married together in there. And I'm going to give this about 5 more minutes and we'll be right back. Oh, here's where Donnie's recipe gets interesting. It's time to deglaze the bottom of this rascal. So we're going to pour in 1 bottle of your favorite beer. I use a dark beer on any of these kind of recipes. We'll stir that up. Boy, you should smell that coming up out of there. That is just wonderful. Now, you don't have to put beer or alcohol at all in your recipe, but you know if you simmer it for just 5 or 10 minutes, all the alcohol evaporates and all you have is the flavor. So hopefully that don't scare off anybody that doesn't want to use beer. Man, look at that. That just looks great the way it is already. But now we're going to put in some veggies. I cut everything in 1-inch cubes, and in this bowl right here we got turnips, carrots, red russet potatoes, and according to Donnie, a half a rutabaga. Believe it or not, as much as stuff as I've cooked, I've never ever cooked a rutabaga. He said it's kind of like a potato, but just different flavor. You're going to love it in your moose stew. I said, all right. So I got a total of maybe 3-4 cups of veggies in there. Then the only thing we need to do is have enough liquid to go over the top of this. Now I already put salt and pepper in the flour and cornstarch, but I'm sure it's going to need some more. And this is beef stock. And I'm going to put the equal amount in vegetable broth. Believe it or not, this organic vegetable broth is cheaper than the regular stuff at Kroger's, so I buy it all the time. I thought, all right, I get organic and I get a cheap price, so I like that. Oh man, look at all that meat in there. Boy, that's looking just perfect for level and everything. Outstanding. He's right. It works great in this pot. Got a couple more ingredients for you. Donnie, thank you very much for sharing your harvest with me. This is looking so good in here. We're going to add just a pinch of sugar, because I put a little bit of sugar in all my soups and stews. It just kind of wakes it up. And we're going to shovel about 1/3 of a stick of butter in there. Bloop. I just wanted to see him do a little dive in there. And I also want to take this time for those that are not hunters out there to say, look, I really want to thank you for watching this recipe. Get some venison from a friend and try it. And I also want to applaud all the hunters out there. There's an organization called Hunters Feeding the Hungry. A lot of hunters belong to it. Every year they donate venison from their hunts and dollars from their wallets. And again last year, now see if you can wrap your head around this number, over 100 million meals, probably even more than that, were fed to people in homeless shelters, all from sportsmen. It never hits the papers, nobody ever writes about it, but I'm telling you right now, thank you very much to all you hunters out there that donate your venison and dollars from your wallet. And there's a lot of butcher places that do the processing for that absolutely free as part of their donation. Now I'll tell you what we're going to do. I threw a little bit more salt and pepper in there in addition to that sugar. I'm going to put the lid on this rascal, and I'm going to do what Donnie said. We're going to put this in the oven at 250 degrees for 5 hours. He said, man, that meat will just melt in your mouth. So about every hour I'm going to check on it and stir it a little bit. But here we are, off to the oven. Take your last look. See you in a bit. You know me, I hate to waste stuff. I took the rest of that stick of butter, and here's that seasoning that I dredged that moose meat in. And I'm going to put in equal parts flour to that butter, and I'm going to make a roux. Now Donnie didn't say I couldn't add stuff to it, He just gave me the recipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this mousy little burner for the best thing that it could ever be used for, and that's to create a nice medium heat that won't burn my roux. And I'm going to stir this until it gets a nice kind of a peanut butter color. And then I'm going to pour it into that stew before I put it in the oven. I'll be back in a minute. You know, I put that butter and that flour in here. Then I noticed in that little tub over there that I still had a little bit of that bacon grease that I put in the bottom when I browned up the moose meat. So I chucked it in there and added a little more flour, and man, it's looking just fantastic. I need to get a real flamethrower as a heater for my demonstration kitchen here, but in the meantime, I love this little burner for making a roux because it's the perfect temperature and it's wide open. Sheila says, man, why don't you put some brown sugar in there so it'll brown quicker? I said, no, you don't rush a roux, and you stir it almost continually, and it's looking just great. I'll be back in a little bit and show you what it looks like. Boy, look at this beautiful peanut butter shade roux. The next time I'm going to do a roux, I'm going to get my little cast iron pan, get this little mousy burner over here, because it just makes the most beautiful roux. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to incorporate this into our moose stew. And I just wanted to use up the rest of that bacon grease, the rest of that butter, and the rest of that flour without throwing it in the garbage. I thought, I have an idea. So we made a beautiful roux. Let's pour it in there. Always take time making your roux. If you burn the roux, it is no good. Look at this. Man, oh man. We're gonna... Oh Lord. This is going to be so good. This will thicken this soup up. It'll add a nutty flavor to it. And we got to use up our butter, our grease, and our flour. Perfect. Now, like I said, I might even go 225 on the oven. I think he said 250, but I love 225, low and slow. But I'm going to check it every hour, and when that meat gets nice and tender and delicious, I'm going to stop it and I'll let you know what the progress is. So let's put this in the oven. All right, and there you have it, moose stew. Good stuff, fresh from the oven. How do I know it's good stuff? The same reason that young lady sitting over there does, because we've already been in here and had a bowl apiece, and it's delicious. Let me give you the cooking times. I put it in the oven for about 3.5 hours at 225 degrees, and that's when I checked it. And the meat was still a little bit, not chewy, but it wasn't as soft as I wanted it to be, and the rutabagas were still a little firm. Rest of the vegetables were almost perfect. But then we had to go somewhere, so I turned it off, took it out of the oven while we were getting dressed to go somewhere. Then I put it in that little refrigerator that we have to do brining and chill soups and stuff. And everything tastes better the next day. Chili and soup, you know that. So today we brought it back out and I put it back in the oven at 225 degrees for 2 more hours. Everything got just perfect. Come on over here, let me show you what the result is. Before I stir it, I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like here. You'll notice that it kind of has a little film on top. I think that's some of the butter and some of the herbs and spices. And I got to tell you, so many of the herbs and spices floated to the top that I skimmed off about 80% of them. The flavor's still in there, but I took the actual herbs out of there. Now, let me show you what we seen. That looked delicious? Wowee. We stir in that butter that's on top. A little bit of tallow if I missed a chunk when I was cleaning up the moose meat. Here's all our veggies, and I got to make a decision here. The rutabagas are real prominent in this dish. I like them in there, but not as many. But other than that, everything is just perfect. Now, Sheila loves a little cheese on top of hers. I don't care for it that much because it gets melty and gooey, and I want to be able to eat the stuff, but she likes that. But I like this. I put a few jalapeno peppers in my soup. I might as well dump them in because that's how many I'm going to use anyway. And there you have it. Moose stew. The meat is super tender. The vegetables are super tender. And these rutabagas taste completely different than anything else. It is the most curious taste in this moose stew, but I think I would leave them in, but just not as many. This is really, truly wonderful stuff. And I'm going to leave it as a stew. At the end of this video, I'm going to put a recipe over here where I make venison hamburger soup. It's made of whitetail, not moose. And again, they're both in the venison family. But it's different. It's got spaghetti sauce and some other vegetables, corn, and a bunch of stuff in it. A whole different complexion. But I like this real deep, woodsy taste. And I think I put about a half a cup to a cup of all the other vegetables. And if I put in a cup of carrots and a cup of potatoes, and I think that's what I did cubed up, I would only do a half a cup of rutabagas, and that's what I'll put in the description below, which is also something that we do on our recipes. We put all the description of the recipe in the description box below. If you can't see it all, I think it says show more. Click on that button, it'll drop down. You can copy and paste it. We don't make you go to a website to download our recipes. We put them right there. And we hope you enjoy our recipes. Moose stew, try it. It's delicious. If one of your hunters out there gets some venison, whether it's moose, elk, caribou, whitetail, man, make this or make this in a minute. It'll show up over here, and you'll truly love it. It has a whole different flavor than beef. I love beef, but I really love venison. Little Shotgun Red's face will pop up over here in just a little bit, and of course I'm going to put that recipe for, I think it's hamburger soup. I think we call it like a quick dump soup where you just dump everything right in there, but it's made with venison hamburger. And is this the best moose stew you ever tasted, with a few less rutabagas and some jalapeno peppers and no cheese? Sheila likes cheese. Than you've ever tasted? If it ain't, it ought to be. Sheila, did you enjoy it? I did. She's already had a bowl and I have too, but this is real. It is terrific stuff. We'll see you next time right here on Cooking with Shotgun Red. Great job on that camera again, Sheila. Bye-bye for now.